They will take a saw and cut through the skull. Liberation and release both happen in these temples.
This is the place where Sadhguru Sri Brahma stayed.
Agastya Muni left his subtle body here with this linga.
Pebbles from around this mountain, it literally wants to burn through your hand.
Gupta Kashi is a powerfully consecrated place, energy-wise quite a spectacular place. This is a place where Sadhguru Sri Brahma stayed for a period of time. Sadhguru Sri Brahma, was born in a small village in southern part of India, now known as Tamil Nadu, in a small village called Vettakaranpudur. When he remembered his past and became restless to consecrate a dhyana linga, he walked across the subcontinent looking for the right people to create the right sense of strength and sadhana. So at one point he came with 4 young sadhakas, walked all the way from Rudraprayag. You had to walk, and he walked all the way, took these 4 young boys and went up to Kedar because they wanted to do their sadhana in Kedar. He thought anything less than that wouldn't work for them, so he took these boys and went to Kedar. All of them being from South India, where the climate is warm, so they could not withstand the cold, nor did they have down jackets. So they stayed there for a few days, they couldn't make it. So they walked down to a lesser altitude. As they considered themselves the very progeny of Agastya, they decided to settle here. In this same temple. They were housed here, they stayed here for over 3.5 to 4 months. They did their sadhana. 2 of them made use of the sadhana later on to attain to their fullness, and they left. They shed their bodies and they left.
This is my kind of place. They are saying this was consecrated by Agastya Muni himself over 6,000 years ago. It feels like it was done yesterday. It's just remained absolutely intact. Thanks also to the people who are taking care of it now, that they kept it without disturbing it. This is seen as the navel of Kaveri because it's a midpoint, so they identified the exact midpoint and Agastya Muni consecrated a linga which is originally actually made of sand mixed with some compound of those days, traditional compound. So it's a sand linga which is still intact, not only physically intact, in every way intact. It's believed that Agastya Muni left his subtle body here with this linga. Somewhere near Madurai or Virudhunagar, there is another place where he left his intellectual or mental body. But he took the help of Kartikeya and took his physical body to Kailash, where Shiva was, and left it there. That's a spectacular way of doing things in the end. So, in some way, he is looking at Kaveri as a body, as a living body, and he established the naval center here and in such a way that the upward movement of energy and the downward movement of energy both happens in a proper way. It's just blowing away as if it was done yesterday. And it's incredible. This is our ancestry.
When I went to Kumar Parvat in Karnataka, in southern India, this place where Skanda left his body, consciously, when he came south, he helped Agastya Muni to establish order, and probably his association with Agastya Muni cooled him down a little bit. He was an angry man because he thought world is unjust. And this young warrior had made up his mind, wherever he sees injustice, he'll remove it by sword. He went about slaughtering so many people. From north to south he came, then his association with Agastya Muni probably cooled him down a bit, assisted him in his work, then went to what is today called as Kukke Subramanya or Ghati Subramanya. He went there and he washed his sword for the last time. I've been to this place many times. It's energy-wise, it's one of the most invigorating places that you can see. Then he went up the mountain and there he left his body standing. This is the nature of a warrior. Because he did not die in a battlefield, he left his body standing. When yogis want to leave their body, they will sit down, usually cross-legged, because when energies begin to dismantle themselves, you need stability. So cross-legged posture, which gives you maximum contact with the floor upon which you sit, is the ideal thing to do. Those who do it more towards the end of their life may find their cross-legged posture is not so stable as it was when they were young. So they will lie down or semi-lie down and do it. There are yogis who lie down in Shavasana and leave it, because there are other postures, some flaw is there. But Skanda leaves his body standing. This is tremendous, because when you have to uproot the life energies from the physical self, well, you need some stability in the body. To do it standing, it's extraordinary. But that's what he did. And when I went there, if you pick pebbles from around this mountain called Kumar Parvat, you will find All the pebbles are six-faced as if they're chiseled by machine. Tiny pebbles, all six-faced. They're called Shanmukalingas. You take it in your hand, it literally wants to burn through your hand, it's like that kind of intense energy.
So we went there, night we are supposed to camp here. Everybody's trying to settle down. I'm not able to sit. However I try to sit, my body just springs up and stands. They set up a tent for me. It is just 4 feet tall. I go and sit in the tent, my body just springs up, dismantling the tent. I just stood. Simply because this man left his body standing. And then we went up the mountain. There, where on a rock he stood and left his body standing. This is the way it works. And this he left some 8,000, 10,000 years ago, and still there, active, alive. You can't destroy him. No way can you destroy this man, because he will always be.
There was a seeress, a lady saint in India. Nobody knows where she came from. She's less than 5 feet. Looking at her facial features, I think she came from Nepal. So she just walked on the streets in the southernmost tip of India, which is known as the Kanyakumari. She just walks the street, if somebody gives something, she eats, otherwise she just walks around. She came as a young woman and people were wondering who she is, and she was crazy, dancing and singing and crying, on the streets. She goes to the beach and she sleeps on the beach generally, and she just sits on the water and just floats around. She's just floating on the water. So they saw this and then people started worshipping her, some people gathered around her, but she never spoke, not a word. So it so happened there is a mountain very close to this place, and I was staying there, and somebody told me her name is Mayamma. Mayamma means the illusory one, the illusory mother. So, she's Mayamma, and they said Mayamma's place is here, and they showed me the picture. The moment I saw the picture, I said, I want to go there. So, three of us, myself, Vijay and my girl was just maybe about 5 years of age, and we drove down and we went there. That happens to be a full moon day, and they built she's already gone. There's a small samadhi, they built a small grave for her. We went there, the place is reverberating like crazy. She is like bursting out of the concrete that they built around her. This is fantastic place, little place. Then they said, today is Purnami, stay back, we have some prasad, night dinner they're serving for everybody. I said, definitely I will stay. And my girl was only 5, she just sat there near the samadhi and she just went like this. She sat there for an hour with her head shaking, eyes closed, unmoving, because this place is like a magnet. He just held her like that. And the best thing is, this one little man who was devoted to Mayamma, her face, she lived outdoors for her whole life, so her face is all weather-beaten and in a certain way. And she's a Nepali kind of, the features are little, mildly Mongoloid, definitely not like South Indian. This man is a South Indian man. He's been so devoted to her, he came in front of me. His face has become exactly like hers. I just looked at him and burst into tears. This is a devotee of the highest order. Simple man, he's cooking and preparing this dinner. Just an illiterate man, he's just working there preparing food. His face has become exactly like hers. She's another race. This man is South Indian. His face has shifted itself exactly like that. It was so amazing seeing him. We spent the time there, and also the next full moon night, I went there and we sent all our brahmacharis there to spend some time there and come. So devotion is that kind of thing. If you dismantle the structures of your… who you are, and you're completely absorbed into something, if that something is powerful enough, it'll just imprint upon yourself. That is the idea of devotion, that is the idea of energy forms and devotion, so that you become that. Kuta in Kannada means assembly. Mahakuta means a great assembly. So, I've been there, this place, it's a fantastic place. There are many ways to understand this. I will not go into all the ways, let me talk about one simple way of looking at it is, there are so many ingredients which make life here, in this solar system. In this, if we are looking at it as an energetic possibility, we're talking about 114 chakras. So this is a Mahakuta. These 114 represents everything that can be in this universe. Because of all the life that's happened in this mechanism or system that we call as our universe, this is the highest form of life. It's reached its peak in terms of its physical evolution. So, all the qualities or all the dimensions which can happen are here. So this is a Mahakuta. These 112 or 114 are represented by 7 dimensions. So normally, we are talking about 7 dimensions represented by 7 chakras. It is actually 112 or 114, but we are talking about 7 because we have segmented them into 7 categories or 7 dimensions. If all the 7 dimensions are there in a consecrated process, that is called Mahakuta. A human being can exist here as a Mahakuta. That means the entire galaxy has become alive within you. These 114 are not just 114. The geometry of what this is has become in tune with the larger geometry of the cosmos. So this has become cosmic. So he's calling the larger cosmic assembly also as Mahakuta. The entire cosmos is a great assembly of celestial bodies. When this one reflects that, we call this also as Mahakuta. So if anything is consecrated with all the 7 dimensions of life, then in the yogic tradition, generally it's referred to as Mahakuta, a great assembly of things, because it's in cosmic in nature.
wherever Shiva rested, those places were referred to as Kailash because his original abode is Kailash. Wherever he went and rested, generally those places are referred to as Kailash. So this got labeled as the Kailash of the South. Because of this variety of sages and saints, various types of yogis, mystics, chose this mountain as their space to work with. These mountains have witnessed a phenomenal amount of mystical work. It's very difficult to articulate these things. Many siddhas and seers walked these mountains, spent a large amount of their time here, and above all for me, this is a mountain where my guru walked, and he even chose to leave his body upon this mountain in the 6th hell up there. So, for me it's like a temple, it's not like a mountain. When we started looking for a space to set up or consecrate Dhyana Linga, once again we travelled all over and people went on pointing out all kinds of lands to me. Inside the city, outside the city, here, there, that mountain, this mountain. I would say everything is nice and everything is nice, but this is not it. So people were just getting frustrated. Will Sadhguru settle somewhere? Then one day we were just driving this way and I suddenly saw the 7th hill, the peak, and we just stopped there in our track. From then on, it's like dead sure of everything. I just walked to this place and said, this is the place. 11th day after that it was registered in Isha Foundation's name and there's been no looking back since then. Why I'm saying this is, for the most mystics and yogis, what they have within themselves, what they know, they never get to share with people. It's very difficult to find somebody with whom you could download everything. So they generally go to those kind of spaces which are not easily accessible to people, but accessible enough. And they download all their knowing in energy form, usually in the mountain peaks. This is the significance of Kailash. Kailash mountains are the greatest mystical library on the planet. There isn't another place like that. This is a smaller repository, not in any way less in quality, but a much smaller library. So, there is a phenomenal amount of remembrance and knowing in these mountains. It's very difficult for a logical mind to understand how can a mountain know when I don't know. A lot of rocks in this world know far more than anybody could know. If you come to Kailash, it's so much like that even here. This is as good as anything. You go up. The mystical dimensions of life which could not be logically expounded, which could only be experientially given, due to lack of variety of situations which are needed to make those things happen, they always chose the rocks rather than human beings.
There is a temple called Kashi Karvat in Kashi. But the basic practice at Kashi Karvat used to be, Karvat means a saw. So they will take a saw and cut through the skull. The two lobes of the brain, you can actually go through this, except for the pain of the skin and what's on the surface, the skull doesn't have any pain. And if you go slice between the brain, two lobes of the brain, there is no pain. There is pain of outside injury, but there is no deeper pain. So they cut through slowly and open up. People who have done sadhana to a certain extent but stuck somewhere, they burst out and liberation and release both happen in these temples. Traditionally, we look at it this way. There are 3 points in your ajna of transcendence. This is called as Rudra, Hara and Sadashiva. Sadashiva means eternally in that state. So everybody is trying to get there, but when your sadhana is not getting you there, you're trying to use a mechanical help. So they might have just sawed open a little bit. But right now in the folklore here, they're saying they sawed you right through. Or maybe once they were dead, once they left the body, they might have sawed through, I don't know, that's out of ignorance. There's no need to saw through the body. They might have just sawed open. It might have been a small instrument to slightly surgically open up that space. Now it's been banned, of course. It's not about slicing through, it is just opening you up enough. Only problem is, whether with a touch or a sawing or a whatever, whichever way, if some sense of liberation happens to you, when you still don't have the fundamental grasp and control over your systems, the only choice you have is that along with this sort of liberation, you also shed the body. Because to retain the body, one needs a certain amount of control over the system. And without gaining that mastery, any attempt to make the energies reach the peak would mean liberation and release at the same time. So, it is unnecessary to move energies in a certain way when people have no such intention in their life. They just want to live well, but now they're going into Karvat temple. No, this is for people at any cost they want to attain. So that's a different, totally different inclination in an individual person.